2 million years BC, and three of the greatest predators on the North American continent battle for supremacy. Among these killers is a flightless bird, 2 meters tall, hunting for prey. Its name says it all, for this is the terror bird. Now this monster is about to come back to life as we'll recreate the mechanics of its deadly attack, a powerful strike.
It's like having a really sharp spike at the end of a hammer.
The slicing, the dicing, the crunching. This is a terror bird, and this is a monster resurrected. Just what is it that makes a terror bird so fearful? First, it helps to tower over the competition, walk on 2 legs, and weigh 136 kilograms. Second, it doesn't hurt to own and often use a powerful and unusual weapon, a razor-sharp beak. But these are just 2 things that make the terror bird so fearful.
I think it's a name that obviously captures our perception of these animals as vicious, like serial killers.
For 58 million years, this beast dominates a continent, South America. This represents the only time in our planet's history that a bird reigns as a megabeast. Somehow these magnificent creatures achieve unparalleled success, but then they just suddenly vanish. But there is nothing like these enormous predatory birds today, which makes their loss all the more tragic, for scientists at least.
You air-scribe this?
They're trying to discover the reasons for the terror bird's rise and fall, piecing together the evidence left behind millions of years ago.
The challenge we have with these extinct animals is they're really just a pile of dusty bones, and they can't really fully speak for themselves.
Scientists have traced the origins of the terror bird's deadly abilities back to the dinosaur age. In fact, they've discovered that the terror bird, also known as Titanis, was related to T-Rex.
These animals were evolved from dinosaurs. They have dinosaurs in their heritage, and sort of that whole predatory lifestyle is sort of built into their DNA.
Like T-Rex, the terror bird stalked its prey standing upright.
There are undoubtedly similarities there. They had very powerful legs, and also they had sharp and powerful claws at the end of their toes.
And like T-Rex, the bird slaughtered its victims by using its massive head as a weapon.
What you can see here is a beak that ends in a very sharp hook. And if you look at the top portion of the skull, you will find areas for the attachment of huge muscles that allowed to strike with huge power.
Experts know the bird flourished after the epoch of the dinosaurs ended and before the truly modern mammals emerged. At the time, South America was an island cut off from the rest of the world, a Garden of Eden. Then around 5 million years ago, volcanoes by the dozens erupted and the planet began to change into what would become the New World. From the depths of the sea, a spine of land emerged. For the first time in millions of years, a bridge of earth connected the continents of North and South America. Today, we call this land the Isthmus of Panama. In what's known as the Great American Exchange, animals ventured across this land bridge. Among those heading north were the terror birds, who had evolved across 50 million years to their current status as a super predator. After a migration that lasted several thousand years, the birds arrived in their new habitat, extending their range all the way to what is now Florida. Here, they found abundant prey. But this gourmet food was served in very tough surroundings. The terror bird had unwittingly entered the territory of two equally strong and determined rivals. Saber-toothed cats and wolves.
You've entered into a guild, we would say, a group of animals that are all doing the same sort of thing, going after and killing large prey.
The cats and wolves are not about to let the arrival of an aggressive newcomer go unchallenged. So began a conflict that was to be played out only once in the history of the planet. 3 species, 3 alpha predators, but just 1 survivor. And the best way to find out why only 1 survived is to study the behavior of their modern counterparts. Grey wolves, related to Edward's wolves that lived at the time of the terror bird, teach us how their distant cousins socialized 2 million years ago. The lions of the Serengeti reveal hunting strategies of the North American saber-tooth. And these battles took place on the prehistoric plains of North America. For here, it's an epic fight for survival, or it's starvation. In the end, only 1 megabeast will come out on top. We know that the wolves won, and we'll find out why. Also, by using cutting-edge science, we'll breathe new life into an old monster, stripping off skin and transforming muscles into a pneumatic-powered mechanical beast. Showing the razor tip of a spear flying at breakneck pace. And then how speed and muscle power slams that spear home, making this bird a living, deadly weapon. The terror bird's biomechanical system is unique. There are no modern-day predators that use this method to kill.
By having a mechanical model of a terror bird, we can recreate how effective the terror bird was at attacking prey.
The terror bird is soon to return and strike once again. The terror bird was an evolutionary marvel, hatched from a warm nest, a direct descendant of the dinosaurs, but with a razor-sharp beak. A killing tool more dangerous than that of any known predator today. But this perfect predator was not perfect enough to survive. And when we look at the tools in its arsenal, the mystery only deepens. For at the time, food is abundant, and the 3 top predators are all chasing the same thing: dinner. However, success comes down to who executes the most efficient pursuit and who can hold onto it. Then and now, prey are so adept at eluding capture that 50% of all pursuits end unsuccessfully. Some predators, like wolves, rely on their ability to sustain a long chase.
A pursuit predator, like a wolf, is one that just simply tries to run its prey to exhaustion. 50, 60, 70 miles at one time.
For wolves, success depends on working well with others.
Wolves are social hunters, and the pack would go in, attack, and retreat with multiple animals working simultaneously.
Hunting in a pack enables the wolves to bring down prey much larger than themselves. Unlike wolves, big cats don't depend on stamina. They rely on stealth to ambush their prey. They seek out a location where other animals tend to congregate, like a watering hole.
The cat would come to the pond, lake, whatever, and conceal himself or herself in the grass nearby and simply wait extremely patiently, as we know cats can do.
A saber-tooth waits so long for its prey, it catnaps. And it often hears its prey before seeing it. The element of surprise enables the cat to stalk and attack without warning. But the terror bird is a much more versatile hunter. It can stage a sudden ambush or endure a long pursuit like a wolf. The stamina for running long distances is encoded in its DNA.
Birds have amazing respiratory systems. They have air sacs all throughout the body, and they have this great ability to extract oxygen from the air. I mean, if you think about, migrating birds that'll fly thousands of miles at a time, they have to be able to supply oxygen to their flight muscles that whole time.
An exceptional lung capacity is also found in ground birds such as ostriches. They are some of the fastest of all animals, reaching speeds of up to 65 kilometers per hour. Also, from the neck down, the physique of the ostrich is strikingly similar to that of the terror bird.
Running animals tend to have the muscle mass concentrated near the hip, so there would be big thigh muscles. But then as we move past the knee, down to the ankle and to the foot, there won't be very much meat there. There'll be relatively little muscle.
However, ostriches are not predators and their heads are small, weighing less than half a kilogram. The head of a terror bird, by contrast, weighs more than 9 kilograms. But it's what's attached that is the final X factor, and what made the terror bird such an effective killer. And later, for the first time in 2 million years, we'll show just how the terror bird attacked. With the help of special effects designer Rudy Machinga, paleontologist Eric Snively is going to duplicate the mechanics of this strike.
So it wants to strike down as powerfully as it can, drive the beak into flesh, and then get away. If it has to, it'll strike again and again.
From his work with modern raptors, Eric knows the point where the shoulder muscles originate and where they insert at the base of the skull. They are going to replace these muscles with pneumatic pistons
We just need to hook up an air compressor and we can get this going.
and measure the force of a killing blow. And with modern technology, we'll be able to observe this lightning-fast striking power.
If it's running 30 miles an hour, how fast does it strike?
Well, that's what we're going to find out.
Probably
Slow-mo cameras will allow us to slow time to a standstill. And Jeff Lieberman and Matt Kearney know exactly what to look for in that footage. However, it is one thing being armed with such a formidable weapon, but yet another being close enough to use it. North America 2 million years ago. Just how did this master predator, this keen-eyed bird with killer instincts, get close to strike its prey? It's a solitary hunter. The slightest movement drives the bird into action.
One of the most important things for any kind of a predator is motion. It's almost a hardwired trigger that when something moves, you chase it.
And how a predator tracks prey is crucial information for understanding an extinct beast. But for the terror bird, this information is hard to come by. Unlike wolves or saber-tooths, terror bird has no immediate modern-day counterparts. Their closest living relatives are 1/100th of their size, raptors. And this is why paleontologist Eric Snively studies these small yet powerful birds to gain an insight into terror birds.
They're really my chosen subjects for examining evolution and behavior and hunting in large predatory birds of the past.
One of Eric's subjects is the hawk.
Hawks can see a wider spectrum of color than humans can. Also, they have a much higher density of light-gathering cells on their retinas, so they can see a finer discrimination of movement.
A hawk spots a squirrel long before its unsuspecting victim realizes it. Once the hawk dives, it's able to stay focused on its target no matter how fast it's moving. Could a terror bird also watch like a hawk? Larry Whitmer, professor of anatomy at Ohio University, has a way of getting inside a terror bird's head. He uses CAT scans to analyze fossils that are millions of years old.
Here we've got the skull of a terror bird that we've made transparent so we can see what the brain structure is like. We can get a closer look by actually making the skull go away completely, and we can zoom right in on the brain. Okay, now we're into the eye socket.
The CAT scan generates an image of the soft tissues that were once encased in bone.
Yep. Great, this is perfect. We can now view what the brain was like. We can see where blood vessels and nerves went. By being able to view the brain, that allows us to have a glimpse into what the behavior and the capability of these animals actually were.
Though a terror bird's brain is bigger, it has the same structure as that of a hawk.
There's a part of the brain located right here called the optic lobes, where visual information is processed. For instance, in both cases, we can see that the optic lobes are very expanded, suggesting that vision was important.
The scan reveals that raptors and terror birds also have something else in common.
One thing that I'm really struck by is the large size of the cerebrum, the higher part of the brain, the seat of cognition and problem solving.
Thus giving the terror bird a huge advantage during the hunt.
A predator needs to solve the problems that the prey are presenting to it. to be wily, to be able to get around any of the defenses that the prey is offering.
So the terror bird, or Titanus, is intelligent enough to plan an attack.
Like, where is the prey relative to trees, and how am I going to try and capture that prey item?
They would really be very good at scanning the horizon by looking out to the side and covering a very wide field of vision. This would have enabled Titanus to give itself a bit of an edge over the prey.
But Titanus has another advantage. And the hunting behavior of another modern-day predatory bird, the owl, provides a clue. Oberon is a great horned owl. For Oberon, his sense of hearing is even more important than his sense of vision.
Owls have an extraordinary adaptation for hearing the direction where sounds are coming from. They can localize the prey very well just through hearing. They don't need to rely on sight.
This is understandable when one considers that owls hunt at night. Terror birds probably didn't hunt at night, but they too used their sense of hearing during the hunt.
The sense of hearing is going to be associated with this part of the brain right in here, which is the lower part, the cochlea, which is very long and well developed in these terror birds. What that suggests is that the hearing was important to terror birds. Potentially they used it for tracking prey, listening for the sounds of prey in their environment.
The CT scan suggests that the bird's ears would have functioned well in an environment where it could not see its prey. A terror bird's hearing enables it to identify prey through barely audible sounds.
Kinds of sounds that actually transmit through forested and rough habitats.
Prehistoric, state-of-the-art seeing and hearing allows terror bird to find its prey. But the ability to chase it down is crucial. Imagine running for your life with one of these behind you. Terror bird ran fast, but straight into extinction, though not without a fight, and that fight was brutal. Terror bird came to these battles armed with some secret weapons. And now, nearly 2 million years later, those secrets are about to be revealed. Titanus the terror bird. A marvel of evolution. The ultimate raptor. Nothing quite like it exists on Earth today. Of 3 of the most evolved apex predators who lived 2 million years ago, wolves, saber-toothed cats, and terror birds, only one remains. It was survival of the fittest. Wolves pursue a prey animal by targeting the weakest part of its anatomy.
There's a big tendon that runs down the back part of the leg. They try to bite through that tendon, which it basically stops the animal can't run anymore.
As the prey falters and panics, suddenly the wolves themselves are at risk.
So now you're going to stick your nose and your teeth into this thrashing, kicking mass of prey animal. It'd be like sticking your face in a fan.
The wolves fall on the victim, inflicting shallow wounds, causing the prey animal to bleed to death. And it's a slow death. In contrast, a saber-toothed cat was able to quickly overpower its prey.
And they would clamp the sabers into the underside of the neck, the vulnerable part where you have all these lovely things like the windpipe and jugular veins and carotid arteries. And then they would pull their skull downwards. At the same time, they would pull their jaw upwards and then pull backwards, taking out that entire fold of neck and the associated structures with it.
Oddly enough, these deadly teeth were extremely delicate.
You can see the very elongate upper canines here at the front of the jaw, naturally. And if I turn it this way, you can see how narrow they are from side to side. So that is the sense in which they're delicate and vulnerable to being broken if hit from the side or bent from the side. So they had to hold this animal very strongly and immobilize it, and then apply 1 or 2 killing bites to the throat, we think, most likely.
Both wolves and saber-tooths developed highly efficient methods for killing, but neither could match the bird's ability to deliver a mega blow.
To kill prey, it would have used its neck to drive the tip of the beak down into the prey. It's like having a really sharp spike at the end of a hammer. Think of it that way. Yeah.
In all probability, the terror bird, or Titanus, strikes with a motion similar to that used by a present-day raptor.
With the raptors I work with, the impact really is at the tip.
But a flying raptor has the advantage of starting its attack from hundreds of meters up in the air.
And then when they see prey, they'll fold up their wings, flap their wings to dive in very quickly at the prey.
When a hawk dives, it reaches a velocity of 200 kilometers per hour. By the time it strikes its victim, the force is tremendous. Could a flightless bird achieve the same strike force from ground level? Until recently, we could only imagine what the bird's strike looked like. But now, in an unprecedented experiment, Eric and Rudy will use a mechanical beak to replicate the death blow. To measure the power of this force, Eric and Rudy have called in Discovery's time warp high-speed cameramen, Jeff Lieberman and Matt Kearney. They will capture Terror Bird's killing blow on high-speed video.
Rudy, how's it going? Good
Jeff,
to
how
see
you
you.
doing? Nice to see you.
Rudy?
Matt, how are you?
Good to see you, man. So what do we got in here?
We have the terror bird.
Terror bird. Nice. Okay, so minus the wings.
It's basically just the neck and the head.
Let's tear it out of here. Not bad.
All the way in?
All the way in. Let's bring it under the silk. Watch your step over this.
During an attack, the Terror Bird can deliver a fatal blow in a split second. The bird rears its head back, slightly raising the tip of its beak. With one wicked blow, the beak penetrates the back of the spinal column, or drives the nail directly into the skull. The first test is a honeydew melon. Its consistency is strikingly similar to the gray matter inside our heads.
Ready? Hit it.
Ready? Here we go.
Yeah. Oh! Nice.
Wow.
All right, well,
Let's take a look.
all right, this is about 30 times slower than normal, so
Okay.
should be able to see everything. Here we go. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. This is like absolutely no challenge for this thing. All right, so it was attacking skulls normally?
Yeah, it would also strike the rib cages that it was running along its prey, and whatever, wherever it could strike to bring its dinner down to the ground.
But if it aims for the head, the Terror Bird's strike would meet the skull.
So why don't we bring in the mammal skull? You got it?
Ready when you are.
So what would happen when beak meets skull.
I'm gonna step back a little for skull.
Yeah, why don't we just get out of here?
Collateral damage.
Things can fly.
Okay.
Ready when you are.
Ready to trigger. All right, hit it, Rudy. Oh, it worked.
Goodbye.
I mean, even then, the stand didn't even stop it. Nothing stopped it. Your hard stop in the robot actually stopped it. You know, we're talking about fingernail, which is like keratin of a fingernail, which is amazingly strong, just like bone, but able to be sharpened over time and regrow. It's a super powerful weapon.
Definitely a fatal blow.
Definitely a fatal blow every time. It's an amazing thing they went extinct in the first place with that kind of action.
From only a meter away, its strike does as much damage as a skydiving hawk. The terror bird's beak was an incredibly powerful weapon.
It's a combination of a couple things, right? It's super sharp.
Yep.
And it's also a really massive object for its nothing, so it's got a huge amount of inertia that it has to get slowed down. And I don't even see any change in speed at all by this kind of thing.
One of the terror bird's methods of killing has just been recreated. Shards of bone, like shrapnel, are driven into the soft brain tissue.
The other thing is, you know, if you're watching this from land, this guy's moving 30 miles an hour, his beak moves 30 miles an hour, that's 60 miles an hour relative to ground where this thing is hitting something. So if you're hitting an object that's not moving directly away from you, that impact's much stronger than it is even here.
But killing is just one part of the hunt. No matter how fast and efficient the kill is, the bird still has to eat, and this is where the real danger begins. The longer it takes to attack and consume your prey, the more likely other predators will show up and demand a share. This being the case, the jaws and teeth of carnivores like the saber-tooth are perfectly designed to kill and rip apart flesh.
One of the main advantages of having sabers is a very rapid kill. You're less likely to attract the attention of other carnivores because you get it over with quickly, not much noise. And you can feed for longer before somebody else detects that you've got something they might want to steal from you.
In spite of this, carnivores rarely have the time to savor their food.
There is a term now for stealing someone else's dinner. It's called kleptoparasitism. So like kleptomaniac, thievery, and then parasitism because you're coming in and you're parasitizing someone else's kill.
Any sign of a skirmish alerts others to the possibility of food. The smell of death rings out like a dinner bell, and this offer of fresh meat often results in violence. In spite of their stealthy nature, cats have a hard time hiding from a hungry bird.
The terror bird would have, I think, the advantage in that situation because the cat could not get behind the terror bird. So the terror bird would approach and probably attempt to threaten the saber-tooth.
The terror bird would have been very imposing at standing upright so that a cat would be looking up at it, and this big bird with this very big beak would be looking down at it.
The loss of a hard-won meal is devastating for any predator. Wolves fear losing their kill so much that they bolt it down. A pack can easily turn a deer into a heap of bones within 20 minutes.
They have what we call a carnassial pair of teeth, which work like scissors. They just cut meat. And they come together like shears.
But the terror bird is not equipped with teeth. How does it compensate for this seemingly glaring handicap? With smaller prey, this huge bird uses the same feeding strategy as an owl. It swallows its prey whole.
Something like Titanus could probably choke down something about the size of a small pit bull. Actually get it down its throat.
Swallowing a pit bull-sized rodent would be the ultimate act of stealth. The rodent may even be alive as the bird's powerful neck muscles crush it. Death would occur silently, deep inside the throat. But when the bird feasts on a larger animal, it must consume it without teeth. So its feeding is similar to that of today's hawks. A hawk uses its talons to hold down its squirming victim while it rips at its flesh with its beak. Like the hawk, a terror bird needs an efficient way to dismember flesh.
It has not only this nail in front for cutting off pieces of meat, but it actually has a cutting surface all the way around the sides of the beak for slicing off very specific sizes of meat for then being able to swallow them. Here we go.
Everything we have seen about the terror bird illustrates why it is such a perfect predator. Its hunting skills, tracking ability, killing power, and appetite were state-of-the-art. But then it vanished. Just what happened to the terror bird? The terror bird had a glorious and deadly run as the ultimate raptor. The biggest carnivorous bird that ever walked the earth. But finally, it ran out of time. And the reason may be explained in one of two places. Having T-Rex as a distant relative can be very useful to a predator. The terror bird wields a killing tool like none other and can destroy an animal with one mighty blow. But this lost creature shares a vulnerable characteristic with dinosaurs. It lays its eggs on the ground.
Terror birds probably did not have much of a social organization other than male and female. You do have to keep in mind the fact that they laid eggs, and the eggs had to be incubated.
This breeding habit puts its young at risk. A nest on the ground is a beacon for scrounging carnivores.
So if you're the bird, it's a very bad thing because that's your next generation. And if you're the wolf, it's a very good thing because it's very tasty.
Wolves, being more social, could protect their offspring better. And they had an even more potent weapon that ensured their survival. They travel in packs. And members of a pack communicate with one another in unseen but powerful ways. As a solitary hunter, the bird has no choice but to stand its ground. Soon the sounds of teeth gnawing on bones rises from the pack. This pinnacle of feathered evolution is dead, and the rest of its species would soon follow. Could their demise have come about because these solitary birds could not compete with social animals?
Can we say that wolves as mammals are inherently better and more adaptable than terror birds? Maybe they were more competitive and did a better job of capturing and killing prey because of their social behavior than terror birds were.
Despite keen vision, an amazing lung capacity, a neck designed to deliver a hammer blow, and a razor-sharp beak, this megabeast disappears. Scientists can't prove that wolves were the sole cause of the terror bird's extinction. They point to climate change and the disappearance of an adequate food source as other key causes. However, wolves, and for a while saber-toothed cats, outlived the terror bird. But then the saber-tooth joined the terror bird in extinction. Soon after, the wolf's time on top ended. With the disappearance of this monster bird, a niche is opened for the next biped predator. It will take over 1 million years before one will step forward to fill the void. This time, it is one eminently capable of social behavior and hunting in packs. Today, the deadliest creature that walks on 2 legs does not have feathers. And at the moment, we rule the earth. For now, at least.